Welcome to your deep dive. Today, we're stepping into 18th century Germany,
Okay.
a time and place where the bright light of Enlightenment reason was bumping up against some, let's say, interesting countercurrents. Our subject,
Yeah.
the Golden Rosenkreuz,
Right.
a secret society shrouded in as much mystery as their alchemical experiments.
For sure.
We've got first-hand accounts, historical records,
Wow.
even a peek into the beliefs that shaped their worldview.
Okay.
Think of us as your detective duo,
I like that.
sipping through the evidence to answer the big question. Were they truly anti-Enlightenment, or is that a gross oversimplification?
I think what we'll uncover is that the Golden Rosenkreuz were masters of blending seemingly contradictory ideas.
Okay.
It's going to challenge your assumptions about what it meant to be enlightened back then.
Ooh, I love a good challenge.
Yeah.
Okay, so for our listeners who might need a quick refresher, the Enlightenment was all about reason, individual liberty, progress,
Right.
basically humanity using its brain power to build a better world. But in Germany, you had this extra layer of complexity.
Exactly. You're familiar with the Enlightenment's emphasis on reason and the clash it created with traditional beliefs.
Right.
But in 18th century Germany, things were even more complex.
Okay.
Many intellectuals were tied to the existing political order, which wasn't exactly a hotbed of revolutionary ideas.
Right.
This led to what some scholars call the third current, a blend of Enlightenment ideas with more traditional beliefs in faith and authority.
So not quite fully embracing the radical side of the Enlightenment,
Right.
but not clinging to the old ways either.
Yeah.
A bit of a middle ground, but one that still valued faith and tradition.
Precisely. And this is where the Golden Rosenkreuz come in.
Okay.
They emerged in this environment, adding their own unique blend of mysticism and esoteric knowledge to the mix.
Right.
But to fully understand them, we need to rewind a bit.
Okay.
Remember those mysterious Rosicrucian manifestos from the 17th century?
Oh, yes.
They claimed to possess ancient wisdom passed down from a secret brotherhood.
The whole invisible college idea.
Exactly.
It really captured people's imaginations.
Yeah.
But the Golden Rosenkreuz, the group we're focusing on today,
Right.
they were operating a whole century later. Did they still hold on to those original Rosicrucian ideas?
They did, but with some significant twists.
Okay.
By the mid-18th century, Rosicrucianism had become intertwined with Freemasonry, which was gaining popularity across Europe. Think of it like this. Freemasonry was the outer shell, a more public fraternity.
Right.
And within it nested the Golden Rosenkreuz, a more exclusive, secretive order.
So it was like a secret society within a secret society.
Love that.
I'm already picturing hidden chambers and coded messages.
Yeah.
And did they have those cool mystical titles, too?
Oh, absolutely. Imperator, Magi.
Wow.
The sadder you climbed in their ranks, the more impressive your title, and the more esoteric the knowledge you were supposed to possess.
This raises an interesting question.
Okay.
How did their beliefs actually play out in the real world? Did they just debate philosophy in their secret meetings, or did they try to influence society at large?
That's where it gets really fascinating. Remember that clash between reason and faith we talked about?
Right.
The Golden Rosenkreuz found themselves right in the middle of it, particularly in the case of Johann Joseph Gossner, a faith healer who caused quite a stir in the 1770s.
Ah, a faith healer in the age of reason. I bet that created some tension.
You bet. Gossner's methods like exorcisms and claims of miraculous healing directly challenged the rationalist views that were gaining ground during the Enlightenment.
Yeah.
While many saw him as a charlatan, the Golden Rosenkreuz actually defended him.
That's unexpected.
It is.
Why would they embrace someone so seemingly at odds with Enlightenment thinking?
This is a key piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
And it revealed a core belief of the Golden Rosenkreuz. They believed in a spiritual reality that transcended scientific explanation. They saw Gossner's work as proof of this reality, proof that reason alone couldn't explain everything.
So they weren't outright rejecting reason.
No.
But they were adding another layer to it, a spiritual dimension that went beyond the purely material world.
Exactly. They believed there were deeper truths hidden beneath the surface of things, truths that could be accessed through spiritual practices and esoteric knowledge.
Okay.
And this leads us to another fascinating aspect of the Golden Rosenkreuz, their deep fascination with alchemy.
Alchemy. Now that definitely conjures up images of medieval wizards trying to turn lead into gold. Were they really still pursuing that in the 18th century?
Well, for the Golden Rosenkreuz, alchemy wasn't just about material transformation.
Okay.
It was a path to spiritual enlightenment.
Right.
They believed that by manipulating and purifying matter, they could also purify their souls and unlock hidden spiritual truths.
So it wasn't just about getting rich quick.
No.
It was about a deeper understanding of the universe and humanity's place within it.
Exactly. And some of their alchemical practices were, shall we say, a bit unconventional.
Okay.
We're talking about using blood, urine, even feces in their preparations.
Okay, that's definitely not something you'd find in a modern chemistry lab. What was the thought behind incorporating those unique ingredients.
They believed that the human body was a microcosm of the universe containing all the elements and energies found in the cosmos.
Right.
By using these substances, they sought to harness their inherent power and connect with the deeper forces at play in creation. For example, they even collected morning dew, calling it star sweat, believing it held special alchemical properties.
Star sweat. Okay, I have to give them points for creativity. They were blending science and mysticism in a way that's both intriguing and a little, let's just say, I'm glad lab safety standards have improved since then.
Indeed, but it's precisely this blending of seemingly contradictory ideas that makes the Gold Rosenkreuz so fascinating.
Okay.
It challenges our neat categories of enlightenment and counter-enlightenment.
Yeah.
They were picking and choosing, embracing reason in some areas while clinging to tradition in others.
So they were forging their own path, a third current approach to knowledge and spirituality.
Precisely. But their story takes another intriguing turn when we look at their influence on a very powerful figure, King Frederick William II of Prussia.
Oh, this is where it gets juicy. A king with a penchant for secret societies and alchemy. Tell me more. All right, so we've got a king on the throne who's into mysticism and alchemy.
Right.
And he's got the golden Rosenkreuz whispering in his ear.
Yeah.
What kind of impact did that have on Prussia? Did he try to turn the whole kingdom into a giant alchemical laboratory?
Not quite, but they did try to steer the kingdom in a direction that aligned with their worldview.
Okay.
Particularly through the influence of Johann Christoph von Wöllner, a high-ranking Rosicrucian who became one of the king's closest advisors.
Wöllner. Wasn't he the one who wrote that treatise on religious toleration?
Yes.
I remember reading about that. It seemed pretty progressive for its time.
It did.
But I'm guessing there was a catch.
Your shirt. On the surface, Wöllner's treatise championed freedom of conscience and worship.
Okay.
Very much in line with Enlightenment ideals.
Right.
But then it takes this interesting turn, arguing that anyone who publicly criticizes Christianity should face restrictions.
So tolerance, but only up to a point.
Right.
Sounds like they're trying to have it both ways, embracing Enlightenment ideals when it suited them and falling back on tradition when it didn't.
Exactly. And the selective approach to Enlightenment values played out in the policies implemented under Frederick William II's reign.
Okay.
Wöllner, with the king's backing, pushed for censorship of unorthodox views and greater emphasis on religious instruction and education. They even attempted to reform the Prussian education system to align it more closely with their beliefs.
So they were trying to shape the minds of the next generation.
Yes.
It sounds like they were really trying to create a society molded in the image of their own beliefs, blending those third current ideas with their Rosicrucian worldview.
Yes, but their efforts weren't without opposition.
Right.
Remember George Forster, the scientist and Enlightenment thinker we mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
He was initially drawn to the Golden Rosenkreuz, intrigued by their mysteries and esoteric knowledge, but their growing influence over the king and their attempts to restrict intellectual freedom ultimately turned him against them.
So even someone initially sympathetic to their ideas was put off by their methods.
Yeah.
What was it about the Golden Rosenkreuz that ultimately disillusioned him?
Forster believed in the power of reason and open inquiry.
Okay.
He saw the Golden Rosenkreuz's emphasis on secrecy and their attempts to control the flow of information as a threat to those principles. Plus, he wasn't alone in his criticism.
Oh.
Baron Linder, a disenchanted member of the order, actually revealed some of their inner workings to Forster.
Wow.
Further fueling his skepticism.
Sounds like a real-life conspiracy thriller. Did this insider knowledge have any wider impact? Did it change public perception of the Golden Rosenkreuz?
Absolutely. It led to a scathing exposé published in 1785 by the Berlinische Monatsschrift,
Okay.
a prominent Enlightenment journal. They accused the order of everything from Catholic infiltration to undermining Protestantism and, of course, working against the principles of the Enlightenment. This really tarnished their reputation.
Wow. Talk about bad press.
Yeah.
It seems like their attempts to influence society backfired spectacularly.
It seems that way.
Did this mark the end of the Golden Rosenkreuz's reign of influence?
Well, their power certainly waned after these controversies.
Okay.
But here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Despite the backlash, the ideas of the Golden Rosenkreuz continued to spread.
Really?
Not just within Germany, but beyond its borders.
Wait, so even with all this negative publicity, their ideas were still finding fertile ground. Where did they go from there?
We see traces of Rosicrucianism popping up in places like Poland, where King Stanislaus was rumored to have ties to the order.
Okay.
And even as far east as Russia, it seems these esoteric ideas had a way of transcending geographical and cultural boundaries.
Okay, I'm picturing a map of Europe with all these little Rosicrucian hotspots popping up. But wasn't there more than one type of Rosicrucianism?
Yes.
Earlier we talked about different factions with varying
You're
beliefs.
right. And one particularly fascinating offshoot was the Asiatic Brethren.
Okay.
They were unique in that they welcomed Jewish members,
Hmm.
which was incredibly radical for the time, especially considering the widespread anti-Semitism in 18th century Europe.
That is remarkable. So they were promoting tolerance in a way that even some Enlightenment thinkers struggled with. It seems like they were really pushing boundaries both in their beliefs and their membership.
They were, and not only did they accept Jewish members, they actually incorporated Jewish esoteric lore, like Kabbalah, into their Rosicrucian practices.
So they were blending traditions that were often seen as diametrically opposed. It's a pretty bold move. But how did this mess with their overall stance on the Enlightenment?
That's where it gets complex.
Okay.
While the Asiatic Brethren embraced this radical form of tolerance, they still held on to a worldview that often clashed with Enlightenment rationalism.
Right.
They believed in spiritual alchemy, hidden knowledge, and a deeper meaning behind the material world,
Uh-huh.
ideas that weren't exactly in line with the scientific materialism that was gaining traction.
It seems like the more we learn about the Golden Rosenkreuz and their offshoots, the more complex the picture becomes.
Yes.
They were this fascinating mix of progressive and traditional, mystical and rational, constantly challenging our assumptions about what it meant to be enlightened in the 18th century.
And that's precisely what makes them so compelling to study. They weren't simply for or against the Enlightenment.
Right.
They were something else entirely, a third current that defied easy categorization.
And their story doesn't end neatly with a concluding chapter. What happened to the Golden Rosenkreuz? Did they fade into obscurity, or did their ideas continue to resonate in some form? It's like we've reached the end of a detective novel,
Yeah,
but the mystery still lingers.
right.
Did the Golden Rosenkreuz simply vanish? Or did their legacy live on in some unexpected way?
That's the million-dollar question. Officially, the Golden Rosenkreuz disbanded in the late 18th century.
Okay.
But some scholars believe that they simply went deeper underground, their secrets and rituals passed down through hidden lineages.
Right?
It's a tantalizing thought, isn't it?
It is.
This idea of a hidden current of mystical knowledge flowing beneath the surface of history.
It definitely adds another layer of intrigue. I mean, we've seen how their ideas influenced kings and sparked intellectual debates.
Yeah.
Who's to say they didn't continue to exert their influence in more subtle ways?
And let's not forget their alchemical pursuits.
Right.
While modern science has moved beyond the idea of transmuting lead into gold,
Uh-huh.
the Golden Rosenkreuz's fascination with alchemy points to a deeper human desire.
Okay.
The quest for transformation, for unlocking hidden potential within ourselves and the world around us.
That resonates even today, doesn't it?
It does.
We may not be brewing up elixirs in our basements,
Yeah.
but that yearning for self-improvement, for spiritual growth,
Uh-huh.
it's still very much alive.
Absolutely. And it's fascinating to see how those alchemical ideas have morphed and evolved over time.
Yeah.
You can see echoes of them in modern esoteric movements, New Age spirituality, even in some aspects of psychology and personal development.
So the Golden Rosenkreuz might be gone,
Right.
but their fascination with alchemy, their pursuit of hidden knowledge,
Yeah.
it's left a mark on Western thought.
Hmm.
It's like a thread woven through the tapestry of our culture, connecting us to those seekers of old.
And that's the beauty of exploring history, isn't it?
It is.
We uncover these hidden connections, these surprising continuities that challenge our assumptions about the past and illuminate our present.
It makes you wonder what other secrets and hidden influences are shaping our world today, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And that's the invitation I leave you with.
Okay.
Keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep an open mind.
Right.
You never know what hidden treasures you might uncover.
So to all our listeners out there, was the Golden Rosenkreuz simply a curious footnote in history, or did their ideas continue to ripple through time, influencing the way we think and see the world? That's for you to ponder. Until next time, keep diving deep.